Hey everyone! Welcome to Update X24H, your go-to channel for the latest news, hottest dramas, breaking stories, and all the buzz from the world of entertainment. We're here to keep you updated, entertained, and always in the loop. Hit that subscribe button and join our growing family, because here at Update X24H, we bring you the news that matters, the drama you love, and the stories you can't miss. Thanks for being part of our community. Let's stay connected, stay updated, and keep the good vibes rolling.
He once admitted, quietly and without drama, that water unsettled him. Not in a dramatic, cinematic way, but in that deeply human way we all recognize, the kind of fear that lingers in the back of your mind, waiting. And yet, there he was, standing at the edge of a rushing river in New Zealand, wrapped in a bright life vest, gripping a paddle, facing something he had never truly made peace with. The water ahead was not calm. It roared, unpredictable and relentless. And somehow, in that exact moment, something shifted. Not just for him, but for everyone watching. Because this was no longer about a travel segment. It was about a choice. A quiet, powerful decision to step forward anyway. And as the raft surged into the current, one question echoed across thousands of screens. If you were watching someone you admired step directly into their fear, would your heart race too? The moment did not begin with noise. It began with hesitation. A subtle pause as Liu Yuning adjusted his grip, eyes scanning the water ahead. Around him, the world moved as usual. Crew members spoke, instructions were given, safety checks completed. Everything was controlled, structured, planned, but the river was not. The river did not care about schedules or scripts. It moved with its own rhythm, powerful and indifferent. And that contrast between human control and natural unpredictability created a tension that could be felt even through a screen. As the raft pushed off, the first contact with the current was immediate. The water did not ease him in, it surged. The raft tilted slightly, then corrected, then surged again. Cold spray hit his face, sharp and uninvited. For a fraction of a second, his expression changed. Not dramatically, not exaggerated, just enough. A flicker, a reminder that fear was still there. But what followed was what made this moment unforgettable. He did not retreat. He did not shut down. He leaned forward. That single action carried more meaning than any scripted line ever could. Leaning forward into uncertainty is not instinctive. Most people pull back. Most people hesitate. But here, in the middle of rushing water, he chose engagement over avoidance. Paddle in hand, he matched the rhythm of the current. Not perfectly, not effortlessly, but sincerely. And sincerity is something audiences recognize instantly. What made this even more compelling was the absence of performance. This was not a stage. There were no lights, no rehearsed expressions, no audience applause to guide emotion. Just cold water, physical effort, and a decision unfolding in real time. The smile that appeared on his face was not polished. It was uneven, slightly breathless, filled with adrenaline, and that imperfection made it real. Across social platforms, reactions began to build, not in the form of dramatic headlines, but in something far more powerful. Emotional responses. Viewers did not simply comment on what they saw, they described what they felt, and somewhere within those reactions, one name appeared again and again, Zhao Lusi. Not because she was present, not because of any confirmed connection in that moment, but because audiences instinctively imagined her perspective. This is where the narrative expanded beyond the river, because when people are emotionally invested, when they do not watch passively, they project, they imagine, they create connections that make the experience feel shared. The idea of someone close to him witnessing that moment, feeling the same tension, the same concern, the same relief, added another layer entirely. Suddenly, the rafting scene was not just physical, it became emotional storytelling at its most immersive. The river continued to challenge, Waves collided against the raft, forcing constant adjustment. There was no stillness, no pause to fully process what was happening. And yet, within that chaos, something else emerged. Focus. Not the kind of focus that eliminates fear, but the kind that coexists with it. Each movement became more deliberate, each reaction more instinctive. It was not about mastering the river, it was about moving with it. And that is what resonated so deeply, because fear, in reality, rarely disappears. It adapts, it shifts, it stays present. What changes is how we respond to it. Watching someone navigate that internal negotiation, that silent dialogue between hesitation and action, created a sense of connection that went far beyond entertainment. There's also something important about timing. This moment did not exist in isolation. It came during a period where visibility was already high, where expectations were already elevated. In such moments, the instinct is often to maintain control, to protect an image, to avoid risk. But instead, what unfolded here was the opposite. A willingness to be seen in a state that was not entirely comfortable, not entirely composed. That choice carries weight. Because audiences today are not just looking for perfection, they are looking for progression. They want to witness change, growth, evolution. And growth is rarely quiet. It is visible, sometimes messy, often unpredictable, just like the river. As the raft moved through one of the strongest sections of current, the tension reached its peak. The water surged higher, the movement became more aggressive, and for a moment everything felt amplified. This was the point where doubt could easily take over. But instead of withdrawing, he stayed present. Not fearless, but committed. And then gradually, the water began to calm. The intensity softened. The raft stabilized. And in that shift, something else happened. He laughed. A genuine, unfiltered laugh that carried relief, excitement, and something deeper. Not triumph over fear, but acceptance of it. That moment did not erase the challenge. It redefined it. For viewers, that release was almost physical. The tension they had been holding, often without realizing, eased alongside him. And that shared release created a lasting impression because it transformed the experience from observation into participation. What makes moments like this powerful is not their scale, but their honesty. It is easy to overlook small decisions, to dismiss them as ordinary. But sometimes the most meaningful changes happen quietly, in moments that are not designed to impress, but simply to be faced. And perhaps that is why this scene stayed with so many people. Not because it was extreme, not because it was dramatic in a conventional sense, but because it reflected something familiar. In the experience of standing at the edge of something uncertain, knowing you are not entirely ready, and choosing to move anyway. If you think about it, everyone has their own version of that river. It may not involve water. It may not be visible to others. But the feeling is the same. The hesitation, the internal debate, the moment of decision, and seeing that process unfold in someone else can be unexpectedly powerful. So the question is not really about what happened on that river. It is about what it represents. A reminder that growth does not require the absence of fear. It simply requires a step forward. And if you found yourself feeling something while watching this, whether it was tension, admiration, or even a quiet sense of motivation, then that moment has already done more than entertain. It has connected. If this kind of storytelling resonates with you, if you enjoy discovering the deeper layers behind moments that might otherwise be overlooked, then you are exactly where you need to be. Subscribe to Update X 24 hours for more stories that go beyond the surface, where real emotion meets real growth. Thank you for watching, for feeling, and for being part of a community that sees more than just what is shown. Stay curious, stay inspired, and we will see you in the next story.